Good morning, all panelists. First of all, I want to emphasize that the main goal of my research is to formulate IT service management framework for Indonesian higher education, which suitable to the Indonesian curricula. Let me start my presentation. I believe that you all have graduated from the university or higher education institution. Do you remember the time when you were studying at the university? First, you have to register for the campus admission. Then you took the test or interview, and then you were admitted as a student. Then you started to learn, did homework, project, assignments, and finally, you were graduated. What I mentioned earlier is a series of activities that undertaken by higher education institutions students. And of course, higher education institution should manage all business processes and all activities related to the students. And actually, not only activities related to the students, higher education institution should manage all activities and business processes inside the university. For example, financial management, human resource management, course enrollment, and so on. Since information technology has been developed and more sophisticated now, many universities in the world, including in Indonesia, utilize information technology to manage all these business processes. Imagine what if there is no well-managed systems inside the university to manage all these activities or these business processes. I think there will be a chaos and operational matters will not run smoothly, efficiently, and effectively. This matter led me to study deeper on IT service management for Indonesian higher education. So, what's the background of the research? In 2020, our Minister of Education, Mr. Nadiem Makarim, presented a new policy or new curricula for Indonesian higher education institution called Merdeka Belajar Kampus Merdeka or MBKM. He instructed all universities and all study programs in Indonesia to adjust their curricula and implement this policy. And this massive change happened from 2020 and still happening until now. So what's the problem? Several problems or issues emerged related to the service provision of this or service management on higher education during the implementation and adjustment of the curriculum. And actually, I have listed and categorized several problems emerged due to the implementation of this new policy from 17 papers discussing about MBKM implementation. And the exciting thing is the first rank of the problem is information systems unpreparedness and digital infrastructure problem. And 10 from 12 universities in Indonesia experience this kind of problem. By the way, what is information systems unpreparedness? Information system unpreparedness is a condition where information systems inside the university, such as application, website, or everything to manage the business process inside the university, is not ready to serve new policy or new curricula. And actually, I personally experienced this kind of problem in my study program when I handled course enrollment. Due to the data redundancy problem, 50 students of mine who took MBKM activities have to pay more than they should pay. They should pay double than they should pay. And this problem was very time consuming and complex to resolve. So what's the solution? And also this problem is also exacerbated by the fact that information technology maturity in Indonesian higher education institutions are still at the early stage of maturity. Researcher from Institut Teknologi Bandung called Mr. Fuada stated that 72 higher education institutions in Indonesia are still in the level 2 until 4 from 5 level of IT maturity. 0 represents the lowest level and 5 represents the highest level. No university reaches the highest level of IT maturity. So what's the solution? Dr. Chelma, IT researcher from University of Johannesburg, said that the key to sustainable IT solutions lies in using active and reputable methodologies and processes. And this has led to the development of several leading IT service management frameworks in the world, such as ITIL, COPIT, TOGAF, and so on. By the way, framework is a guideline, operating policy, or best practices that guides organizations to achieve their business objective. By using framework, they don't need to start from scratch, they don't need to start from zero, and they only need to follow the best practices inside the framework. So what's the problem? What's the gap? Unfortunately, these frameworks that I mentioned you earlier were built based on the best practices of overseas companies which have different characteristic, culture, habit, and policy with Indonesian institutions, especially higher education institutions. And also, Indonesia is lacking of IT service management publications. In these last 5 years, there is only 165 publications related to IT service management. And then how to solve it? For my PhD study, I propose research about formulating IT service management framework for Indonesian higher education institution which suitable to Indonesian curricula. And then how is the methodology? What is the methodology? This research will use qualitative approach. I will collect data from higher education institutions in Indonesia which have implemented MBKM curriculum and represent each level of IT maturity. I will collect data by conducting interviews, focus group discussion, and observation from IT stakeholders in each university. After the data has been collected, and then the data will be analyzed using qualitative content analysis. And after the data has been analyzed, IT service management framework will be formulated. After the framework has been formulated, it will be verified by IT service management experts in the Australia. Why Australia? Because Australia is a home for IT service management experts in the world. And after the framework has been verified, then the framework will be implemented to the sample university, and later satisfaction survey will be conducted to analyze the positive and the benefit, positive and the negative of the frameworks. And then finally, we will formulate lesson learned report. That's all about the methodology. And then what's the benefit of this research? This research will benefit in will benefit in two ways. First is theoretically, and then the second is practically. Theoretically, this research will increase the number of research amid limited research about IT service management in Indonesia. And then the second, this research will fill the gap about the research on IT service management framework in response to the change of curricula. And then practically, this research framework that created from this research will be a guide for university in Indonesia to manage, implement, and deliver their IT services. And hopefully, IT services in higher education institution in Indonesia will be more qualified and equal. And then lastly, this research supports one of the G20 priority issue, which is digital transformation, and I, Clara Heti Primasari, will be one of the G20 agent of change in the field of IT service management for better higher education institutions in Indonesia. Thank you.